Hello and welcome back to How to Be a Terminal Pro. This is Jesse Shaw, and in this video, we'll discuss managing processes on your Mac through the terminal. So there's a nice application on your Mac called Activity Monitor, if you're familiar with that, but we'll be able to manage processes through the command line. So we can go ahead and open up the terminal here. There are two commands that we will talk about today. The first one is top. So we just need to type in top and press enter. So top takes a sample every second of processes running on your Mac. So it tells us a lot of stuff here. It tells us how many processes are ongoing, two are running, one is stuck, all these others are sleeping. It gives me CPU usage by user, by system. It also tells me information about the memory, the physical memory, and the virtual memory that's being taken up. And then we have this nice list of processes here. All right, so on the far left, we have the PID, which is the process ID. It's just a unique number to refer to an instance of a command. And then, of course, we have the commands here. So top itself has the process ID of 35149, and in this column we can see how much CPU usage is being taken up. So it's currently using 7.4%, and this column shows the time, so it shows how long processes have been running. So that is just a nice way to look and see what kinds of processes are running on your Mac. So whenever you're done with top, you can exit out of the program by just typing a lowercase q, and it gets us out of there. And we can also sort this top list by the top CPU users. So we'll just pass an option to top. So we'll say top and then -O for order and then CPU. So we'll order it by CPU usage. Now this column here, %CPU, it will be in descending order. So we'll always show the command that's taking up the most CPU at any given time. And these numbers are descending there. Okay, so we can go ahead and exit out of there. And the next command that I want to show you is PS. So this stands for process statuses. Now, it doesn't take continuous samples like top. It just takes a snapshot whenever you execute the command. Okay, so let's go ahead and type in PS and then -CX. So the option C means just give the name of the command rather than the full path, and the option X lists all of the processes that the user owns. So we can go ahead and hit enter to see what that puts out. So it's kind of similar to top. It gives me the time, it gives me the process ID, and it gives me the command, but I'd like to see a little bit more information about it, maybe like CPU usage. So we can just pass one more option to PS, so that's PS-CVX. So that V in there is going to give us that extra information. So we hit enter, and now I see this big list just like we had with top. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger here, and then I'm going to execute the command one more time. So now I see it looks pretty similar to top. It has the PID, it has the time it's been running. I also see the CPU usage as well as the memory and command printed out here. So we can search for processes by passing the output of this PS command into grep. So we can do PS-CVX, and I'd like to use an example that I know is running. So we can go ahead and open up Google Chrome here, but then we'll just go right back into the terminal. And I want to look for processes that match, so we'll use grep, but we'll do a search for Google. So we hit enter, and I see I have about 6 processes returned here. So 5 of them are Google Chrome Helper, but then we have Google Chrome up here. And now we can start talking about managing these processes. So in order to do that, we need to talk about signals. So there are 2 useful signals that we'll discuss, and signals just force a process to stop and respond to the signal. So the first signal we'll look at is term, which is short for terminate. And it just means a process will finish when it gets this signal. So it's kind of like a quit command. And then another one that we'll talk about is kill. So this is more of like a force quit command. So this signal cannot be ignored. If an application crashes and it won't respond to a force quit command through the user interface, then you can use the kill signal. Okay, so we can quit a process by referring to its process ID. So we need to get the process ID of something. And I think we should stick with this Google Chrome example. So I see it's on because I have this little dot here in the dock, and I also see the browser behind me. So let's go ahead and quit the Google Chrome process. Well, we just need to type kill and then the PID. So I'm looking at the process ID over here. I see it's 35157. So I type in 35157, I press enter, and I see the browser behind me immediately disappeared, and I know that Google Chrome is no longer running there. But to test that, we can pass the output of PS into grep and do a search for Google again, and we should not see an entry for Google Chrome. So I hit enter, and there's actually nothing running there under Google. Okay, so let's go ahead and open it back up and go back into the terminal. And the next example that I want to show you is one using the kill signal. So if Google Chrome has crashed and for some reason it just won't respond to any of my force quit commands through the user interface, like control clicking on here and pressing force quit, well, then we can pass the kill signal. So we just need to get the process ID of Google Chrome. So I see this first one here, it's 35178. So we just type in kill and then option S because we're specifying a signal, and then we'll type in kill in all caps and then the process ID itself. So it's 35178, 35178. We hit enter and it immediately kills that process. All right, so that just about wraps it up for this video. I'll see you next time.